I love going out for Korean barbecue. I mean, what's not to love about charring meats and spicy sauces and all the little dipping things, but that kind of seems a little hard to do at home. Or does it? I've got a little special guide to making an awesome Korean barbecue at home the easy way. Now I'm going to break it all down, and I've got all these little tips and tricks that makes what seems really complicated actually really easy to achieve at home. So by the end of this video, you are going to be Korean grilling like a pro. I want to start off with the marinade because that's really important. And the first thing we want to do is get tenderizing. To make the marinade, you want to start off with a pear. And yes, that might sound a little strange, but actually a pear is a traditional ingredient used in Korean marinades to help tenderize the meat. Peel the pear, grate it into your bowl, and then we're also going to add some soy sauce, brown sugar, and then this guy here is gochujang. This is Korean fermented chili paste. You can find it in most supermarkets now. It's kind of got like almost like a smoky but very salty, savory kind of flavor. Some sesame oil, mix all of that up, and that is our marinade done. Now I've just gone with one protein for my Korean barbecue dinner. You could actually choose a couple. You could do beef and pork, but I'm just going to do pork belly here. So make sure it's a nice meaty piece. I don't actually want too much fat for this purpose. And then I've also asked the butcher to take the skin off for me because I feel like for me, the skin gets a bit chewy on the barbecue. If you like chewy, that's fine, leave the skin on. So what I need are nice thin pieces, because the whole key here with pork belly and grilling it is that it needs to happen fast and quick. Otherwise, your pork belly will be chewy. The pork can go into the marinade now. Oh wait, I forgot. Actually, I was going to add some orange zest into this marinade. Not traditional, but also makes things taste really good. And it goes with my drink that I'm making a little bit later on. And look, I know that if you're at a Korean barbecue restaurant, you would typically be grilling individual pieces of meat, right? But when you're at home and you're using a big barbecue and you're doing it kind of in bulk, it's kind of a little tedious to be like flipping over small pieces of meat. So I find this skewer method is a really good way of doing it at home. Just make sure that your pieces of pork go on nice and flat so that your skewer kind of looks like this, where the pieces will sit flat on the barbecue. So here are our pork belly skewers. I think they're cute. Now, these just need 30 minutes to marinate. Yes, that marinade does its work very quickly. So in the meantime, let me show you my favorite drink to serve at a Korean barbecue at home. So I know soju is the traditional drink at a Korean barbecue. It's not really my cup of tea though. Sorry, Korea. So you can do soju, but what? I'm sure my Korean fans will not mind that I don't particularly like soju. They probably don't like Thai whiskey. It's fine. It's fine. The point is that I really love this drink because it takes a Negroni but makes it like sippable throughout an entire meal. You'll see, it's a Negroni fizz. So I'm going to start off with a fancy ice cube. Then you want some gin, sweet red vermouth, and Campari. And then here's a little orange zest. Just give that a twist like you're a fancy bartender. Pop it in the glass, and then take a really good quality tonic water. I'm using a flavored here, so this one is clementine orange. And that is not a bottle opener. I'll just shave the top off over here for a while. That was a loud slurping, wasn't it? I could drink that all night. So we've got marinade sorted, we've got drinks sorted. Let's do sauces. The thing about sauces for Korean barbecue is you never just have one. So we're gonna do two very simple ones, a Ssam sauce and a salted sesame sauce. All right, to make the Ssam sauce, you need to start with this ingredient. This is doenjang, and it's basically a Korean fermented soy paste. It's very savory and salty, really good base for this sauce. You also wanna add in our old friend gochujang, some garlic, toasted sesame seeds, sesame oil, sugar, give all of that a mix, and then sometimes it's just a little too thick. So I'll add between 1 to 2 tablespoons of water just to thin it out so you get a nice shiny sauce just like this one. And some finely sliced spring onion. Dipping sauce number 2 is very simple. It's salt, ground white pepper, and sesame oil. Now we need to get to the sides, and I have a really great little hack here for doing 2 sides but only making 1 sauce. So let's do it. So with your bean shoots and spinach, pop them in around about 2 or 3 minutes or so until they're just kind of soft but still a little tender. Drain them, pop them into a colander, and these guys just need to be dressed up. So we're gonna start off with some grated garlic, toasted sesame seeds, sesame oil, and then we've got some salt. Give that a mix. Now mix the sauce with the bean shoots and with the spinach, and your sides are done. Now all we need to do is some grilling. And yes, I know obviously if you're in a Korean restaurant, you'll be doing it in the center of the table, and you could do this in the center of the table if you did have one of those individual burners. But if you don't, you can just use any old barbecue outside. Heat it up so it's really hot and just start grilling. You don't need any oil because it's in the marinade, but you do want to brush some of that marinade onto the pork skewers as they're grilling. Let the pork get really nice and charry, and then start flipping it over. And as soon as you've got charry bits on both sides, take it straight off the grill and just let it rest for about 5 minutes. So now we've got everything set at the table. The pork, our sides, dipping sauces, a drink. Let's get in here. I'll show you how I would attack this. So I've got my lettuce leaf here. I'm gonna grab a perilla leaf. Perilla is this really beautiful herb that you often find at Korean barbecue restaurants, but you can use mint or something like that. Pork, you definitely wanna dab that with some of your dipping sauce, bean shoots, maybe a little bit of kimchi. And now you have the perfect little bite. Well, I think it's the perfect little bite. Let's see. There is just so much flavor. Oh my goodness. That pork is so tender. Seriously, this is such a good way to do Korean barbecue at home. So excited. All right, let's eat. So I think we need an appreciation moment here for this pork, how tender and juicy and amazing it is. Oh my goodness. Now this has all come from slow and low charcoal cooking. Now that kind of cooking might seem a little bit daunting, but when you've got the right barbecue and the right information, it's actually really easy. Let's do it, my friends. I'm gonna break it down for you step by step. We're gonna make my slow roasted Korean pork shoulder. So I have some amazing low and slow barbecue techniques coming up a little bit later on, but first of all, we're going to talk about some meat technique. So I have my pork shoulder here, and I asked my butcher to leave the bone in as well. So this is about a 2.5 kilo piece. That's important for cooking time. The first thing I want to do is actually lightly cure it. So I'm going to take some salt and some sugar, and this just gets sprinkled all over my pork. And guys, that's pretty much it. Now there are a lot of video recipes out there with loads of rubs and different flavors and spices. Love those. But for this recipe, I really wanted to show you guys what you can do with a really good charcoal barbecue and just some simple seasoning. So we're just gonna go with this. Just needs an overnight in the fridge. So here is one that I did do yesterday, so we don't all have to wait around and watch paint dry. Now you can see that we've got a lot of liquid, the salt has kind of liquefied here, and the meat will have absorbed that salty, sugary mixture, so really well seasoned meat. Now, this is good to go. The next step is the barbecue. So the great thing about my Firehawk Kamado grill is that it's really reliable, especially for a low and slow cook. All of this insulation here with the ceramic body plus this mesh seal allows it to hold its heat really steady over a long period of time. It's really, really exciting and very fun to use and easy to do if you know the right setup. So I have my deflector plate here, and then I have quite a lot of charcoal in my basket here because this is a longer style of cook. Now I'm going to place the other part of the deflector stone into here, and what this does is basically convert a grill situation into an oven situation because the heat comes up and around those ceramic deflectors to cook your meat. My grill plate's on top. And because I want this low, slow kind of heat, I'm putting the grill plates higher up, so in the higher cooking zone. So everything should be really gentle and lovely and slow cooking. Let's get the pork on. All right, so one little technique tip here is that for low and slow cooking, I like to leave my bottom vent closed and use my top vent as my controlling factor. There are so many different ways to do this. This is just my preferred way. This is going to move over until in between sort of 0 and 1. And what that's doing is stopping so much air from getting inside so that we're keeping the temperature at around about between 130 and 150. And this is going to cook for about 3 hours, and we're going to come back and I have my second really, really important barbecue technique coming up. While your pork is cooking, we're going to make the Ssam. So I want some doenjang, gochujang, garlic, sesame seeds, sugar and sesame oil in a bowl. Add 2 tablespoons of water and give that a really good mix. And then we add some spring onion, mix that again. And this is like the most epic serving sauce you could possibly imagine. For the sesame dipping sauce, I just need to mix some sesame oil, salt and some white pepper. So this is the part where it starts to get really exciting. The smell, the smoke, oh, so good. All right, let's have a look in here. Yes, look at that. So at this point, the pork is looking pretty amazing. I mean, that color is really beautiful. I can see that we're starting to get some tenderness here down the bottom, but we're not done yet. So I'm gonna take it off the grill, pop it on some foil. So this is another one of my really key barbecue techniques. It's a thing called the Texas crutch, and it's what traditional American barbecuers would do when they're smoking meats, and you basically foil up and wrap your meat. This needs to go back into my Firehawk Kamado for another hour or until we reach 93 Celsius. That's the pulled pork temperature that we want. All right, there's no doubt that this looks incredible. Let me get in here and let's just see how tender it is. Oh, look at that. It's so soft and tender and juicy. You can see just a little bit of that pink kind of smoke ring as well. This is the kind of thing that you will get with my Firehawk Kamado grill. Can't wait to sit down and eat with all the bits and pieces. Let's do it. Perfectly cooked golden roast chicken. Guys, I actually think this is the best roast chicken I have ever made, and it comes down to charcoal cooking. Now, whether you're a seasoned pro or a beginner, it can sometimes seem a little intimidating, but if you've got the right information, my friends, it's actually very simple. I'm gonna break it down start to finish. Let's make my best Thai style charcoal roast chicken. So I think there are a lot of videos that either assume knowledge or give you too much information. But for me, the magic of charcoal barbecuing is very simple if you know what you're dealing with. You'll see that at its very core, we have this beautiful ceramic base is what really captures all of the heat and the fire and the flame. This is the magical part of a ceramic grill like this. We also have a bottom vent and a top vent, and those are the two things that will help you control your heat. And that, my friends, the other thing though, is lighting up this guy, which is also very easy. Let's do it. so we want to get in here to the bottom of our grill. So I'm just going to take these top parts off, take your fire basket out. Now I'm going to start with paper, and now my fire lighters, scatter those in, basket goes in, and now the charcoal. I have here my lump charcoal. This is what's going to give us the flavor, and it's really natural. It's basically just carbonized wood. So while my clever barbecue is doing its thing with the charcoal, I'm going to do my thing with the chicken and a marinade. Now I've specifically chosen chicken for this beginner's guide because I really think it's the best kind of protein to start with to build up your skills on a charcoal barbecue. Now I'm going to go with the spatchcocking method today. So I just need to grab my chicken, flip him over, cut through the backbone. And here we flip again and just give this a little press down. And the reason why this is a really good way to prepare your chicken is that it will allow it to cook faster on the barbecue and more evenly. Now let's do the marinade. So my marinade here is really simple because I think the star of the show with the flavors really is the charcoal. So it's a Thai marinade, starts off with some garlic, some coriander root. So that's the stem or the root part of the coriander bunch. There's a whole bunch of really root kind of I was going to say rooty, but that's not really what you're going to say, is it? There's a lot of the root end, which I'm going to take a little bit of that off and pop that in. White peppercorns, salt, and I'm just going to pound this to a rather smooth-ish kind of paste. Okay, so when you get to this sort of situation here, that's when you can add in the rest of the ingredients. So fish sauce, just a little dash here of sweet soy sauce just for some color, and some turmeric. Mix all of that together and that's our marinade. Okay, let's get this on the chicken. Now this marinade, I'm just going to rub it all over the top here. I just really love it because it gives the skin a really nice color as it's roasting and some of that flavor as well, of course. Now in an ideal world, you would let this marinate overnight, but you know what? I'm not always that organized, and I find that you get really good flavor even just with like 5 minutes or so. Just a little more salt on the top here. Now this guy's good to get roasting. Let's finish off the setup in the barbecue. So I think one of the exciting things about charcoal cooking is that there is just a little bit of like know-how that you need to get things like really right. So I love how here you have 2 different levels that you can be cooking at. There's a grate here, there's a grate on top, and I can change these things around. So I want to do more of like an indirect cooking kind of situation for this. So I'm just going to remove this grate. Now this also comes with your Firehawk Kamado grill, and it is a ceramic plate. There's 2 of them, so you can use them like a pizza stone, but they're also a heat deflector. So they go in here, grill goes back on top, put it up fairly high above the heat, and now my chicken can go in. So I've placed my chicken over the heat deflector away from the direct coals so I don't get any burning flare-ups as the chicken cooks. So this is going to give it a really lovely even roast. Now this goes down. So for poultry, we're going to go between 2 and 3, and down on this bottom vent, we're going to open it up just 1/4 of the way. And that should give us a nice like 180 Celsius roast. While my chicken's cooking, I'm going to make my Thai-style chimichurri. I just need a whole load of some coriander, a whole load of some parsley, very finely chop that, add that into a bowl along with some chopped onion, garlic, really finely grated, dried oregano, along with some paprika, just a sprinkle of chili flakes, some salt, some olive oil, give all of that a really good mix, and then we're gonna tang it up with like the juice of 2 limes. Mix all of that together, and that one is ready to go. So this is looking really good at this point. We're sort of at the halfway. I'm just going to flip this around. So see how I've got this really lovely color here? I'm aiming to get that on the other side. But wow, that's looking good. I mean, it's perfection. This is what I love about using a charcoal grill for roasting a chicken. Look at the color, the smell, amazing, and perfectly evenly cooked. I mean, look at this chicken, it's so juicy. Look at that. So here we go, guys, my Thai-style charcoal chicken. If you have not tried cooking on a Firehawk Kamado grill, you need to, because this flavor, the juiciness, all the things, so good. Can I eat this now or what? mo bing. So this is a very traditional thing for people to have for breakfast on the way to work in Thailand. It's pork, and there's like lots of bits of pork fat in there as well, which make it really juicy and tasty. Oh my God, it's so good. This is one of Thailand's most revered street foods. Sticky, fatty, char-grilled pork skewers and khao niao, sticky rice. Oh my goodness, this is the street food I dream of when I'm not in Thailand. Now, it might look like just pork skewers and rice, but it's not. It's quite a bit of technique here. Let's go through it together, my friends. Let's make mo bing. I'm going to start off with the sticky rice first of all. Now, there are a lot of kind of like Thai in the know kind of tricks to making the perfect sticky rice. So I'm going to run you through it so that you too can also have the perfect sticky rice. Now, I have here some Thai sticky rice. It's sometimes often sold as glutinous rice as well. So that's what you're looking for. And you'll notice compared to like regular jasmine rice, so the grains look more opaque here. And the first little trick is that you need to soak it overnight before you cook it. So here's one I started soaking yesterday, and you can see that the rice really has soaked up some of that water. The water's a little bit cloudy, the rice is kind of plumped up a little bit. Now you can drain the rice into a sieve or a colander. Then to cook the rice, I'm using a very traditional setup here. I have like a conical shaped steamer basket, and this is a special pot that kind of snugly fits the basket, and this lid here as well. Now you could also do this with just a flat bamboo steamer over the top of a regular pot of boiling water, but this is going to give you the best texture if you can find this little setup here. Okay, take the lid off and then line the basket with a very light cloth like a cheesecloth or a muslin cloth or a light tea towel. Place the rice into the cloth and then fold over the tops of the cloth to completely cover the rice. Put a lid on top and then steam that for 10 minutes. Now I want to kind of flip the rice over so that it cooks evenly. So use the steamer basket to kind of juggle and flip the rice over. If you're doing this in a flat steamer basket, you could just use a spatula to kind of like flip the rice parcel over. Lid on and steam for another 10 minutes. The final trick to perfect sticky rice is to take it out of the steamer now. Be careful here because the steam is really hot, so use tongs if you need to. Pop it onto a tray, open up that cloth and then tip the rice out onto the tray. Use a spoon to kind of spread it out a little bit. This is going to help like make things evenly sticky and make sure we don't have like one big sticky clump of sticky rice. You want things sticky but not like firm and clumped together, if you know what I mean. If you're in Thailand, you might have one of these cute little rice baskets. I've just lined mine with some banana leaf. That actually gives it a really nice flavor and stops it from sticking to the basket also. So you can put your sticky rice into the basket, and that is our cute little sticky rice box. We'll save that for when our pork is done. Pork skewers. Okay, so I know that if you're not in the know, you might think this is just literally about marinating some pork and popping it on a skewer. Not really the case. There is a little bit more to it than that. You need two different bits of the pork. You need pork loin, which are these big pieces here, and then you also need pork back fat. So that is the very traditional fat that we use in this particular skewer. So take your pork loin first, and you want to try and slice it as thinly as possible. In fact, this first slice probably isn't thin enough. I want you to go really thin, more like this kind of thin, where you can almost see through the pork. That's going to keep your pork really lovely and tender. You'll see what I mean later on. Once you've sliced your pork loin, just pop that into a bowl and set that aside for later. Now we're going to get into the pork back fat. Take the pork back fat and slice it a bit thicker than your pork loin pieces and pop that into a separate bowl. For the marinade, you want some garlic. Now, I always pop my garlic into my mortar and then just crush it a little bit so it makes it really easy to take the skins off. Add in some coriander root, so you can just chop the root end off and a little bit of the stem as well. Then pop in some coriander seeds and some white peppercorns. Use your pestle to pound this into a rough-ish kind of paste. This is the sort of situation you're looking for here. Spoon that out onto your pork, and then the rest of the ingredients are very simple. You just need some palm sugar. Now, my palm sugar is really nice and soft, so I can just add that straight in there. If yours comes in a big block, you might need to just shave it very finely with a knife so that it will dissolve in the marinade. Add fish sauce, Thai black soy sauce, or ketchup mayonnaise, either one is fine, vegetable oil, salt, a little bit of cornstarch, and some coconut milk. Now use your hands to mix all of this together. You might need to like squish that palm sugar to make sure that it dissolves, and then set that aside for at least an hour or so. Let all those flavors make friends in there. To start off with, you want to make sure that you soak your bamboo skewers, and if you're using metal skewers, you don't have to. This is to make sure that your skewers don't burn when they're on the grill. And start with a piece of fat. Now take a piece of pork and thread it onto the skewer like this. You don't just want to shove it on any old way, because then the pork kind of like clumps up and gets really hard and not very tender. This way the pork stays really lovely and tender and in nice thin slices. Do a couple of pieces of pork and then fat, and then another couple of pieces of pork, and that is your pork skewer. To cook the skewers, there are multiple different ways to do this. I'm going to go more traditional and use a charcoal grill, but you could use a frying pan, a grill plate, a regular gas barbecue, whatever you like. The charcoal does give it a nice flavor though. Grill the skewers 2 or 3 minutes each side, and I'm actually going to baste my skewers with a little bit more coconut milk. I've made this nifty little brush out of some pandan leaves. Kind of adds a bit more flavor, also kind of looks fun too. Once your skewers are cooked, and I have to admit mine are like slightly charred. I kind of like them charred, but you know, typically on the street they might not be so dark, but whatever. I think the caramelization makes it taste really good. You can also use scissors to kind of like snip off any bits that are a little charred, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. I think it's delicious. Now here we are, we're ready to go. I've got my little basket of sticky rice here. I'm going to place my pork skewers down, and you can just see how like sticky and glossy they are, which is amazing and just what you want. Oh, so good. It smells so good. Wow. That pork is so tender. It just like melts in your mouth, and the marinade makes everything kind of just a little bit sweet, a little bit salty, a little bit of your sticky rice. And there you go, my friends. Mo Ping, a very, very common, popular, favorite kind of Thai street snack, often really eaten for breakfast in the morning. Now this is my kind of breakfast, I have to say. Outdoor grilling means different things to many different people. I'm half Thai, so my grill often has a little bit of an Asian twist to it. But here's the thing, there are so many great videos on actually grilling, but not many people talking about what you need to do before you get to the barbecue. So I wanted to break it all down right from fresh ingredients until your friends turn up to the party, so that by the end of this video, you'll have all the tips and tricks for preparing for the ultimate outdoor grilling party. There is just so much going on when you're throwing an outdoor grilling party. I mean, there's so many things to think about. There's all the fresh ingredients that you get. How do you store them and prep them? There's marinades, there's proteins, there's dessert, there's drinks. I mean, this is before you even get outside to the table and you're barbecuing. I've partnered with Panasonic for this episode, and I'm going to be using their Prime Plus fridge to help me out. Before you even get to the all-important marinating part of the grilling prep, there are a lot of fresh ingredients you need to deal with when you get home from the shops. Let's start with your lettuce. Now, take it out of that plastic packaging. With your herbs, same thing. You want to give them a really good wash and then wrap them up in paper towel again, and they're going to keep really nice and fresh. With proteins, it's even more important to take it out of the original packaging. I feel like if it sits in there, it's kind of sitting in like old, sweaty kind of juices. Sorry to gross you out. But anyway, pop your chicken out onto a tray lined with baking paper, give it a nice fresh wrap, and then look, it looks like it's in a fancy butcher shop. How nice. Same thing with prawns. Out of the bag, laid onto a beautiful plate, clean wrap, and you are ready to store your proteins. So now I've got everything wrapped up as snug as a baby. Let's get it into the fridge. Now this is the important part as well, because you don't want things to spoil in the fridge. Now my Panasonic Prime Plus fridge has this fresh safe drawer, which is going to keep my fresh things safe. Optimal temperature to be storing things like lettuce and your herbs. And now the spring onion. So one of my bugbears with fridges is when the spring onion doesn't fit in the crisper, but I don't have that problem with my fridge. Okay, the other thing you need to be worried about with an outdoor grilling barbecue prep is your proteins, of course, the stars of the show. I'm also really lucky because I have what's called a prime fresh straw here, and it keeps things in a soft frozen state, which actually makes them last longer, and you'll see later on will help me when it comes to slicing. So there you go, meats, seafoods, herbs, lettuce, we've done it all. Now let's do some marinating. Hunan lamb skewers. So this is going to be one of the showstoppers on your barbecue plate, and actually it takes inspiration from a very traditional lamb skewer dish from the province of Hunan. And the thing about this is all about the cumin seeds and the spicy chili and the saltiness, so the marinade and the chili salt sprinkle is really important. All right, let's get going on the cumin part first of all. Take your whole cumin seeds and you want to pop that into a pan. Toast them off in a frying pan until they're lovely and fragrant, just like a little bit smoky. Pop those into a mortar and pestle and then grind to a rough powder. Take half of your ground cumin seeds and save those for later. Put the rest into a bowl, and now we're gonna make the all-important marinade. So marinating here with some soy sauce, Chinese Shaoxing wine, hoisin, and dark soy sauce. So we have the salty, fragrant, and the sweet all in one here, and the cumin. Mix it all together, and then you're ready to go. For the chili salt sprinkle, mix your ground cumin with salt and chili powder, and just set that aside for when you're grilling later. Now let's talk lamb shoulder. So when you are breaking down a big piece of meat like this, it can get messy, but if you've soft frozen your lamb like I have, then slicing is going to be a lot easier and less messy. So take a look at this, just start slicing through sort of like around 3-4 centimeters thick, and then you want to cut those pieces into smaller kind of pieces. Small bite size is what you want. Now look at that chopping board. I mean, usually when you've chopped that much meat, you've got like a bloodbath on your hands, and I really hate like cleaning and washing up things, so this is a dream. Now put all of your lamb into that marinade, and the only way to do this is to get your hands dirty, get in there, massage that lamb, mix it all up. Now you need to skewer your lamb pieces. I'm using bamboo here, and I did soak it because if you don't soak it, then it'll burn on the barbecue. Once you have your skewers, a really hot tip from me, wrap the ends of the bamboo in tin foil, and that way you won't get burnt ends. Now I would usually recommend marinating this overnight, but I have my really cool high-tech fridge, so I can use the prime freeze drawer, pop my lamb in, and then this drawer has a quick cooling function, which means I can marinate meats in 15 minutes because the quick cooling action allows the meat to absorb flavors faster. Now we're doing chicken. Okay, now this is a recipe that's very close to my heart. It's a Thai style grilled chicken. It's like all charry and like yummy and so good. The marinade here is key. So let's get going on the marinade first of all. You need some coriander. Now the coriander part that we need to use is the root part. Take that end off, make sure you clean it really well, and then use a mortar and pestle to pound the coriander with garlic and white peppercorns until you've got this kind of rough paste. Place that into a bowl along with some turmeric, fish sauce, and some dark sweet soy sauce. Give all of that a mix, and everything should be smelling really great right now. Oh, I love the smell of this marinade. Now add in your chicken thighs. I'm using boneless, skin on, because I like to barbecue with boneless, skin on, but totally up to you what you would like to do. You could even do chicken skewers with this marinade. Chili lime grilled prawns. I mean, this is like the drama at the table, I reckon. And what we're gonna do is turn the marinade into also a drizzle sauce. So you need fresh herbs first of all, and I'm just gonna slice off some mint and coriander here, add in some red chili, sweet paprika. Now this is a little tip of mine because the sweet paprika gives you a great color, but it's not spicy, family friendly. Garlic, fish sauce. Now add the juice of 1 lime and some vegetable oil and a little salt, and just mix that together. Now take half of the marinade, keep that aside. We are gonna drizzle our prawns with this later on, and everyone's gonna be like, oh my goodness, that looks so good. For the prawns, you wanna lay them out on a tray and then drizzle that marinade all over the top. I mean, it already looks so pretty, oh my goodness. Now pop that into the fridge until you are ready to grill. Now we're going to do dessert. So we have done so much work already, and my theory on desserts is keep it simple but make it look like you worked hours on it. So we're going to make a mango jelly dessert. So start off by blitzing your mango, pour the puree into a saucepan, add some mango juice, sugar, water, and then bring that to like a little bubbling simmer. Now you can whisk in some agar-agar and then just let that simmer a little bit longer, 2 to 3 minutes, just to let the agar-agar dissolve. Now pour the mixture into a jug and then divide among your serving glasses. So normally you would need to set these overnight, but again, I can use the quick cooling function in my fridge to set these in 15 minutes. So here is my set jelly done in record time, FYI. I'm gonna top that with some fresh mango, but I'm gonna like jazz it up with some finely chopped magroot lime leaves. This is gonna give us a really awesome, like lime intense flavor. On top of that, I'm gonna dollop this. Whipped cream, but not just any whipped cream. This is cream whipped with icing sugar mixture, so it's super stable and just like super yummy. On top of that, you want to sprinkle some crunchy things like some finely chopped up roasted macadamias, and then just to make things a little fancy, I've got these little like coconut wafers. Let's pop one of those on each of these as well. And I mean, so stunning. Look at that. It looks like something you spent hours on when really it was pretty easy. Oh my goodness, we've done so much prep work now. Okay, it's time to get to the grill. It's time to party.
It's amazing how many people come